Welcome back, and as you mentioned earlier in our intro, we're going to be talking about a conference held recently about the Nubian Coptic heritage, and we're delighted to be joined by Dr. Ismail, researcher and thinking, to talk to us about the objectives and the outcome of this conference. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
And if you could first give us some light over the conference, the ideas and the targets of that conference.
Surely there was a very important conference that was held on the Franciscan Center in Al-Muqattam of cooperation between the Bibliotheque Alexandrina and the Franciscan. So they would like to talk about the old heritage or the ancient heritage of the Christianity in Libya and the relation between the Nubian church with the Egyptian church. At the same time also Libya, there is, as you know, that the Libya is divided between Egypt and Sudan. From Aswan till the borders with Sudan, we have the Egyptian Libya, or the lower Libya, that was called by the ancient Egyptian as the land of Fawat. And from the borders of Sudan till Khartoum, this is the Sudanian Libya, which was called also as the land of Kush by the ancient Egyptian. So we go back to our heritage of this part. We would like to strengthen the relation and to ensure that Egypt had a great relation with the Nubian people, even from the Christian time, and that also still till the Islamic time. So maybe it's the land of Egypt. It is the land of gold. It is the name itself, Nuba. It came from Nuba, the Egyptian word which means the gold. So it's very famous also by the gold mines. So it's a very important land for Egypt from the old time until now.
Right, so would you tell us more about the relationship, the historical relationship between the Egyptian, Nubian and Ethiopian churches?
Okay, we can say that both of the churches, the Ethiopian church or the Abyssinian church and the Nubian church, both of them, they were under the spiritual control or authority of the Alexandrian church or the Coptic church of Egypt. And all of these churches, all of them, they were founded also by the spirituality of Saint Mark. Saint Mark was one of the apostles. He was the author of the book of Saint Mark, one of the main 4 books of the New Testament, that he came from Pentapolis in Libya, and then he lived in Alexandria, and he built the cathedral of Alexandria. It was nearly 60 after Jesus when he came to Egypt, and he lived there. So it was the beginning. He is considered also to be the first patriarch of the Egyptian church. And after that, the centuries after, so the Christian faith was spreading first in Libya, and after that to Ethiopia, and officially in 542 after a missionary that was sent by the Empress Theodora. She was the wife of Justinian, the Roman emperor. She sent there a man or a priest was called Julianus, that he converted the Libyan king there, was called the King Seleucus, during the 6th century, and from that time Libyan church or the Libyan people, they became Christians, and also with the same belief of the Egyptian church. And both of them also, even with the Abyssinian church, that they were monophysites. Monophysites, it came from monos physis. We talk about the one nature. You know that there was a council of Chalcedon, Magna Chalcedonia, that was held, and that talked about the nature of Jesus, that he had 2 natures or one nature, the duophysite and the monophysite. So all of these churches, the Ethiopian church, the Nubian church, and the Egyptian church, all of them, they believed on the same monophysite, and this was on the contrast of the Roman Empire, that they had the duophysite or the 2 natures of Jesus. So from that time that we had a struggle, spiritual or religious struggle between the 2 churches, and it was a separation of the church. From that time, 451, we talk about the Orthodox Church and the Catholics. At that time, it was separated, the church, because of the nature of Jesus. So all the three churches that they have the same belief of the monophysitism or the one nature of Jesus. So it was a great heritage and a great relation between the three churches. And I think from the religion, it could be a great base between the peoples in Libya, in Abyssinia, or in Ethiopia, in Egypt, and to be cooperated because we have a common heritage from the Christian time and even till now, when all these countries also that Islam, or they were converted to Islam also, that also cooperated and they gathered all these people under one belief. Something very important to renew all these emotions and these feelings between us, as we call it, as a soft power between people. Religion is a great soft power between people to approach. And I think that we can remind a few weeks ago that the Patriarch of Ethiopia, he came to Egypt and he had a great visit that he spent about 10 days, and we started to have that kind of relations, a spiritual relation, a religious relation between the Ethiopian church and also the Egyptian church, and it could help after that for the negotiations about the dam of Ramesses in Ethiopia. It would be a great base of this.
Do you think this will help in solving some of the political issues or some of the issues like, as you mentioned, so the Renaissance dam issue?
Yeah, sure. Religion is something very important for all these people. Ethiopians, they are very religious people, and I think that they are also fanatic for their religion. Also, we have our Copts also, they are very religious of their beliefs and their faith. So Egypt also, we could benefit of this relation between the two churches, and also to facilitate the negotiation and to have some compromises in order to help the two peoples this to find good way and compromises to solve the problem of the dam of Ramesses. It's something very important for this point.
Right. So what were the main topics of the presentations and the research that were presented at the conference?
Yes. For my research, for example, in general, that there were about 35 researchers that were presented on that conference. Me, myself, I presented a research about the relation between the monophysites and the dinophysites in the Libyan church till the 10th century. So this is my main topic that I was talking about, that the monophysitism, or the face of one nature, that was spreading from the beginning of Christianity in Ethiopia till the end of Christianity. But in some times that the dinophysitism, or the belief or the face of two natures, that was spreading but for a few times. So he was talking about the relation between both of them, because as the monophysitism or the belief of one nature is spreading in Libya, it means that Libya is following the Egyptian church. When the other belief came there, so it means that there is something separated between both of them. So something very important that to know that the same belief of the Egyptian church or Egyptian Orthodox that was spreading for the most of the time of the Christian people or the Libyan people till the 14th century, when it was the time of the fall of Christianity and Libya became officially as Islamic part, or the Libyan people, they were converted to Islam this time to the Arab migrations over there and lots of Arab tribes, and especially the tribe of Juhayna. And this is my research and magister, that about the role of Juhayna in converting the Libyan people to Islam, and also for the fall of the Christian kingdoms. Something very important for this point, that is to insist about them and to renew these relations.
Right. So there was also a book fair. We understand there was a book fair on the sidelines of the conference.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
Yes, they made lots of spectacles and programs about the Libyan heritage, not just the Christian at this point, but about the customs, the traditions, about the dresses, the clothes, Libyan clothes, something like that. And also we have some researcher from abroad. We have a very famous Dutch researcher, Mr. Vliet, is very important of the Coptology and history of Libya, that presented also a research there. So I think that they made a very good conference and had lots of things, conferences and book fairs and traditions, so people could recognize of the Libyan people more deeply and to be closer to them. And there are some Libyan troops also that they made some musical programs during that time. I think something very special during this program.
If you could tell us about the importance and the role of Biblioteca Alexandrina in reflecting and spreading this very valuable type of culture to Egyptians and non-Egyptians also.
Yeah, Biblioteca Alexandrina from its foundation during the Ptolemaic time, nearly 300 BC, it was a lighthouse for the whole world. So it was a great center, and it had an academy, a scientific academy, and most of the Greek philosophers and scientists that they were learning and they were studying the old Egyptian sciences. So after the renewal of the Biblioteca Alexandrina on the same place, so I think that also played a great role also for to get some lights over the heritage of Egypt at that part. So the Biblioteca, I think, shared or made a good share with the Franciscan Center. It's about holding the conference.
The main organizers of the conference,
yes,
right?
Both of the two sides.
Cooperation take place between these two institutions.
Especially was the Coptic studies or Coptic Center, the Marcus Thaqafi Coptic in the Biblioteca Alexandria. So the Coptic study centers that was presenting the Biblioteca Alexandrina during that conference with the Franciscan Center there. So most of them that were the main organizers of this conference.
So what about the final communique of the conference?
Surely that we have lots of recommendations that we got after the discussions and the presentation of all the researchers, that we insist and to strengthen that kind of relation. You know that during the middle of the 20th century that had some problem between the Ethiopian church and the Egyptian church. There's some kind of half separation between both of them, and the relation was not like before. So like also to approach between the two sides, because that it will be very important for Egyptian politics and even for the destiny of Egypt. We talk about the Nile Valley, we talk about the Nile itself as its importance, and for the dam of Ethiopia. So the religion could break lots of barriers between the two peoples. And even for the Nubians also, we should be closer to these people also, and to tell them that you are a part of Egypt, and we should not be with them to be far from us. No, this should be closer to us. You know that on the borders of Egypt we have three demographic groups. We have the Bedouins on Sinai, we have the Berberians on the oasis of Syria especially, we have the Nubians to the south. We have to collect these people and to be closer to the homeland of Egypt. Something very important.
Right, so I guess with this we come to the end of this edition of the Breakfast Show. Dr. Ismail Hamid, researcher and thinker, thank you very much for joining us, and I also had the pleasure to have with me my colleague Dina Hussein. Thank you, Dina.
Thank you, Naveen Hamsin was my partner for this Sunday morning, and until we meet again tomorrow, I take it back.